back to Nite Line. I am Mary Sloan, along with my daughter, Toni Suchka, and we always say it, but we got a great program lined up for you in this half hour, don't we, Toni? It's going to be really good. And we have with us our guest, or who?
Special guest for us.
Special, yes.
I know we've talked about them a lot, and you guys have kind of shared in our journey with everything that happened with my dad and his passing. And tonight we have the privilege of being able to share Hospice of the Upstate with our viewers.
Yes.
And we have Dr. Alissa Manfredi and RN Derek Geise. He was our nurse with my dad, and so we just feel so privileged and honored that they're here with us, and we're just so excited for you guys to be able to meet them, hear from their hearts, and just learn a little bit more about what hospice has to offer. Yes, which kind of takes me to our scripture.
Right.
For this evening comes from Isaiah 41:10, and it says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand." And we talked about this, that different things in your life can, bring fear, and fear can be crippling. But the Lord is here to strengthen us, and He says, "I will help you." And when we seek Him, He will give us wisdom.
Yes.
And that wisdom can come through different organizations like Hospice. And so we just first and foremost want to welcome you guys here with us tonight.
Yes.
Thanks for
Give you a
taking the
big hand
time.
clap.
I know, we were just so delighted that it all worked out for you guys to be on with us. And I know, Derek, when you were at our house, we had said at one time, we're going to have you on to share what the ministry, and you were like, "Oh, no." We were like, "Oh, yes."
But Derek, you were my husband's nurse just about the whole time during his passing, and we had a tribute to my husband. I think it was October the 12th on Nite Line here, and it was just amazing just to be able to, honor him in a way that we should. And then we had we call it a celebration service, not a funeral, but a celebration service. And you were at that, weren't you, Derek? Yes, I spotted you way back there. Hi, Derek. That's right. I almost forgot about that. But was it not an amazing service? We still have people that are calling us and emailing us, Facebooking us, and say, "You'll never know what that service meant to me." So it was good. But getting back to you, I will never forget the day you knocked on our door, and you were there with Hospice. And my husband, he could right away decide if he really liked somebody, couldn't he? And he said, "I like that guy. I like that guy." So we knew we just had to stay with you, and we were away from you for a while. And I said, "Where's Derek? We got to have Derek back." So thank you for being here,
Well,
Derek.
I know just the time with you, I just really feel like you're definitely walking in what the Lord has called you to do. And with you, Dr. Manfredi, I actually had a friendship with you and didn't even know or realize that you were a doctor that worked with Hospice. I knew that you had something to do with the hospital, but we both are fitness instructors, and that's kind of how our connection was. And I really felt like it was just orchestrated that day when we began to speak, and I began to share with you a little bit about my dad. And next thing you know, we exchanged information, and you guys were able to just step right in and help him. So it was, I feel like just God had worked it all out.
Absolutely.
Now, you guys are with Hospice of the Upstate, and you're coming on your 30th anniversary, right?
That's correct. 30
Wow.
years.
Wow. That is an amazing just attribute to Hospice of the Upstate of being around that long.
Yes.
Now, tell me, Dr. Manfredi, many have a false impression of exactly what hospice is. Share with our viewers what hospice is.
Well, the way I think about hospice is that it's choosing a path of palliative care rather than a path of aggressive treatment. And so in the progression of disease, there are two different paths to take. You can either continue on aggressive therapy and have more surgeries. If it's a cancer patient, maybe more chemotherapy and radiation. Whereas with hospice, it's choosing a palliative care. So it's electing to stop some of the aggressive therapies, but to consider comfort and being able to be at home and enjoy time with family and friends and do the things that you want to do as comfortably as you can for as long as possible. And that's sort of our goal when we take care of people, is to keep them as comfortable as we can for as long as possible.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes people have a misconception that it has to be at the very end of life. But our goal, and part of my goal, and why I'm so thankful that you invited us to be here, is to let people know that it can be a long time. And the longer we get to take care of patients, the better I think it is for them and their families. It doesn't have to be at the very last minute.
And I know that you guys have said before, sometimes patients graduate out of hospice, that it can be like a healing time for them to get to a place to where they're feeling better as well.
Absolutely. There is such a thing called the hospice effect. There have been studies done and that show when patients come onto hospice, they actually improve and get better. And that doesn't always mean they graduate. It actually might just mean that they get to stay on our service for longer and we get to take care of them for longer. But there are times when people actually truly graduate from hospice and move on to being able to be a little bit more out and about than they had been when they first came on.
And you know, when I first heard of hospice, well, I've heard of them a long time, but my sister actually took care of my stepmom through hospice, and then I was told that we should call hospice. Well, at first, I didn't want to, because I didn't want that. I didn't have enough knowledge. That's been our whole theme through the night, is knowledge. We didn't have enough knowledge about it, so I'm thinking, But now that I've become familiar with it, I'm telling you, I would tell everybody about it. It's wonderful. I mean, it lets a patient keep their dignity while they're going through all this. But Derek, tell us a little bit how you actually take care of the patient, and what do you think is the best thing for them?
Well, it's first of all, it's a privilege to care for patients in
That's
their
good,
home.
a privilege.
It is. I consider it a privilege. And as you just mentioned, just maintaining their dignity as they come down to their final days. So many times you think of patients in the hospital where they're constantly getting stuck, IVs placed, blood drawn, beepers going off, complete strangers walking in and out of the room. But in a home setting, they can be surrounded by those that love them. And yes, at first I'm a stranger to them, but I try to build that relationship with them, and sometimes I feel like I become part of the family. And
We felt like you did.
well, I felt like I did with your family.
I think you're that
sure.
brother I never had.
But it is, again, just being able to keep that patient comfortable, to allow them to enjoy what time they have left. We're not worried about the sodium diets. We're not worried about the diabetic diet necessarily. We're allowing them to eat the things that they want to eat, to go the places, that they want to go. And it's a ministry, and just it's very rewarding to be able to care for that patient in the home setting. And of course, having Dr. Manfredi and our other physicians available to us, it makes the job of the nurse much easier.
I remember hearing that name, Dr. Manfredi. I said, Dr. Manfredi. I said, I have got to meet Dr. Manfredi. I don't know if you remember or not, the day you came to the house.
I do.
And you didn't even sit on the couch. You just got in the floor. I said, Dr. Manfredi, please sit on our furniture.
And my dad, he didn't like that. He was like, she's got to sit.
But he thought that was awesome, that you would just sit there on the floor and talk to him,
Right.
and just love
Well, it was
on
the
him.
closest place I could be to him. So
I'll never forget that, actually.
Well, how does hospice help family, friends, and caregivers? We know that it's such a great help to patients, but where does hospice come in when it comes to the caregiver?
Well, I'll start. We have a team of people, so we are just part of the team. We have social workers, we have chaplain services, we have CNAs, we have volunteers that come in. So part of our job in caring for the patient is to support the family, and we consider that a priority as well. I mean, the patient care is important, and it starts with that. That's why we get the privilege of coming into your homes, is because we have the care to take care of the patient. But for us, it's about supporting everyone and all of the services that we have that you can either utilize or not. Some people feel overwhelmed at the beginning to have new faces come into the home, but typically over time, I think as they build a relationship with the nurse and they understand that I'm always going to be available to them, they begin to trust that the other members of our team can be very helpful to family members, and supporting them.
Well, what are some of the services that the hospice house offers? And also, you have what you call the Rainy Hospital.
Yes, we are so fortunate to have Rainy Hospice House. It is a place where people can come for a level of care if we are unable to get symptoms under as good control as we would like to have it at home. We can bring them into the Rainy Hospice House and manage their symptoms there. We also can use it as a respite, so patients can come for up to 5 days at a time.
Yeah.
They can have a little bit of break from being at home. Families can sort of take a breath for a minute and regroup, so that when their loved one comes back home, they feel back to 100%.
I know.
Well, I remember Mom had called me and said, "Can you come over? Derek is here," and we're all kind of sitting down and chatting about some things. And so I went over, and I think he was on her nerves and she was on his maybe a little. And
No.
Oh,
that would just be normal. But, Derek mentioned the Rainy House and said it would be, just a few days to get away, a change of scenery.
Yeah, Daddy said, "When do I go?"
Yeah, and I thought for sure he was going to be a no-go on
that didn't sound like.
And he went, "Sure,
Right.
that sounds good to me." And it gave him just a change of scene. And you talked up the macaroni and cheese so much, I thought he was going to go just for that.
And you're really one of the only hospice around that offers that.
We are very lucky to have that service, and we, I think we like to think of it as a home away from home for our patients, and our staff there and our volunteer coordinators work hard to make that happen, to make people feel comfortable coming, and to make families feel comfortable letting go of their family member for just a few days.
And I think it was a blessing just to have some time for you to be able, because, well, it was a blessing for you to have time, because she couldn't go and it got to where she couldn't go to the grocery store or something like that. And so I just think it's such a blessing to be able to have that access to it.
Good.
And then also, another place to go to have better care that you couldn't give in a home.
Right.
So I love that. Well, we're going to be speaking more with Dr. Manfredi and Nurse Derek. We're going to go to a song. Simeon Sloan, my cousin, is going to sing "Jesus Paid It All."
Oh, Jesus paid it all to Him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, and He washed it white as snow. Oh, sin had left a crimson stain, and He washed it white as snow. Oh, He washed it white as snow. Oh, He washed it white as snow. And oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life up from the dead. Oh, praise the one who paid my debt and raised this life silver or gold. I'd rather have Jesus than riches untold. And I'd rather have Jesus than houses or lands. I'd rather be led by his nail-pierced hands, oh, than to be the king, oh, of a vast domain, and be held in sin's dread sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. I'd rather have Jesus than anything.
Well, I thought that song was fitting because Simeon also sang that at Dad's service.
Yes,
so.
he did. That's good, Toni.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I said, Tony's thinking this thing through.
So thank you for that. We are here, if you're just joining us, with some representatives of Hospice of the Upstate. We have Dr. Manfredi and a special nurse to us, Derek Geise. So there's lots of myths about hospice, and I'll have to say that I was in on some of those, and I know from you saying that when you heard the word hospice with your stepmom, you were like, whoa, no, because some people do have hospice enter their life when it is just the final days, but that's not always the case. Let's talk about some of these myths here tonight. Hospice is for people who only have days to live. Do you think, can you share with our viewers, like, that is a myth, and why do people think that?
It's absolutely a myth. I mean, and like I had said before, part of our goal is to get to provide services for as long as possible. And I think sometimes what happens is people associate the word hospice with passing or death rather than with palliative care and comfort care, right, and maintaining a level of dignity through this process. So I hope we can help quell that tonight, a little bit at a time. There are times where we do get patients at the very end of life, and we do our best to provide them comfort. But ideally, we get to take care of them for longer.
And it's almost the patient's decision, like how they want to fight the disease they have. Do they want to fight it with continuing to have more aggressive care, like you had said, or do they want to take that time and just really be comfortable and enjoy the family around them and be in their own environment? And I know that that was a blessing for both Mom and my dad to just be home. You know?
And I would encourage patients and families to consider it rather than giving up. I think a lot of times people think choosing hospice is giving up. And I would encourage people to consider that choosing a different path, a different type of medicine. Palliative care is a different type of medicine.
Right. And you know, my husband had gone to the hospital 2 more times to be told by 3 doctors there was nothing they could do for him. I mean, when you get told that, and then you're having ambulances to come out and take him back, let's hear that again. So I'm telling you, when you get that kind of news, you hate to hear it, but when you hear of an organization that's going to come and be by your side, anytime you want to call them through the night 24/7,
Right.
they got everything with them that you need. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Right.
It is amazing. And you don't hasten anybody's death, do you?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Elaborate on that a little bit.
That's another myth, and I think part of it is because people think that the medications we sometimes use hasten the process, but that's not true at all. And I think that maybe stems from those who do hear about the patients who don't get to experience hospice services until the very end.
Right.
So
True.
those kind of myths stem from that. But we use all different kinds of medicines in hospice, and that's another thing too, is that I think a lot of people think they're going to come on hospice and we're going to take away everything and give them morphine.
Yeah.
No.
Which is not true.
No.
In fact, we want to provide them with all the medicines that are related to their terminal process. Those are covered by their hospice benefit. Their medicines are covered, their equipment's covered, their services are covered.
Hello.
So it's really, it's a lot more, I think, than people realize.
Well, Derek, do you think hospice is only for cancer patients?
I think sometimes people have that idea
Uh-huh.
that if someone's on hospice, they must have cancer, but that is far from the truth. We have patients with cardiac issues, we have patients with Alzheimer's, we have patients with COPD, just a vast variety of different diagnoses that we treat.
Right. That's great, too.
Well, either one of you can answer this. This is another myth. Do patients have to have a DNR or do not resuscitate order in order to be on hospice?
Not for us, no. That's a process. I think that's a decision that families and patients have to work through. And I
Right.
think part of our job is to educate and support and allow people to come to a decision like that when they're ready.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes when families have received the news that a patient is terminal, that there's nothing else that the doctors can do, that's a blow to them. They're having trouble adjusting to that. And so sometimes if we walk in and have this DNR form for them to sign, they're like, no, we're not ready for that, and that's okay. And like Dr. Manfredi said, it's a process. We educate, and as that disease progresses, then a lot of times the family come to the realization that the best thing that they can do is to let go and to let that loved one have peace and rest.
Right, right. And I feel like the Lord is just so sweet to prepare you for those moments. I know He was for us. Okay, Dr. Manfredi, you're the acting doctor with Hospice of the Upstate.
That everybody loves.
Yes, I mean, mention your name and they're like, oh, I love Dr. Manfredi. This is another myth that hospice comes in and takes away all the medications that you had, that you needed, and you can't see your other doctors. Like, how do you guys handle that when you go into and they're attached to their doctor, or they say, well, no, I'm supposed to be taking X, Y, and Z?
Well, they can absolutely see their doctors. A lot of people have had their primary care physician for years. They've grown attached to their cardiologist or their oncologist, the person that's really been walking them through their aggressive therapy. If they want to continue to see that person, they are welcome to. What I like for them to know is that I'm available 24/7. So anything that they need, I can provide, and with our team, we can provide that. From a medication standpoint, it's an education process, but all of the medicines that are related to the disease process, especially those that will actually treat a symptom, they all are important to keep. If they are not, that's again sort of an education, like we kind of talk about with patients and families, which of these medicines is actually going to make you feel better and treat a symptom, and which of these medicines is something that you've been taking because your doctor said you need to take this.
Right.
So it's a process, it's an education, and we kind of walk them through it. Every time Derek or our nurses visit, we have a talk about it, and people usually begin to understand the things that will work for them.
Now, you've both of you have worked with more than one hospice. Now you're with Upstate Hospice. Would you say all hospices are about the same, or?
Well, we're biased, of course.
Well, we've got about 2 minutes.
Right.
So tell us, what is different about Hospice of the Upstate than other hospices you've worked with?
Well, I'll go first, and then I need to leave time for Derek. But we've been around for 30 years, as we said earlier. So I think that's something to really speak to Hospice of the Upstate and the.
And you have the Weekaway Hospital.
Yes, and we have the Rainy Hospice House, which I
Rainy.
think is an amazing service for people. Not all hospices take care of children, and that's something that we offer as well.
Awesome.
That there aren't very many hospices around who take care of children. So I think those
What
are
do you
some
see
big
the
points.
differences, Derek?
One thing that I like about it is that we're a nonprofit hospice, and to me, that just gives us a little bit of an edge. I've worked for both, for nonprofit and for profit, and I think I know money's important in every field. We have to think about supporting the staff and the business and keeping things going. But with Hospice of the Upstate, I know we will take patients if they're non-funded. If they absolutely have no way. If I'm correct in saying
This
that,
is
we
right.
will
This is
take
true.
non-funded patients.
We appreciate you guys being here tonight so much, and we hope with our viewers you have been enlightened to what hospice can do and how that they can care for your family. And again, we will never forget what you guys have done
Thank you
for
all so
us.
much.
Yes. So if you have a need tonight, I know that there's many that called in, and we would just love to pray over you and your needs tonight. So let's just close in prayer. Father, we thank you for this opportunity. We thank you and invite you here tonight, and we just pray that you would meet the needs of all the viewers that are watching tonight. We thank you for our guests. We pray blessings over them as you use them to go into the homes, the living rooms, the bedrooms of patients. I just pray that you would give them the wisdom as they are used in that area, and continue to use them in ministry, Lord. And we just ask that you would continue to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in everything that we walk through. In Jesus' name, amen.